and welcome to the Pied Hacker Experience. We are so glad that you're here. I'm Laura, this is Nato, and we are the creators of the Pied Hacker Experience. You might have been hesitant to come on this journey with us, and we understand it's a big decision to make, but something convinced you to make that purchase. And you should appreciate that and listen to that. You know, what brought you here? What made you decide to sign up for this experience, to come along for this journey? And you are now embarking on the next chapter of your life journey, essentially. You have come on this journey with us for the Pied Hacker Experience, and though there might be trials and tribulations ahead, the fact that you have started along the path is the most important part. The rest will come. You will get through it. We are here to support you. Our Discord community is here to support you. And we're just so excited that you're here.
And now that you have entered the Pied Hacker Experience, it is time for us to take you for a ride, a role-playing experience where you will create something with your own hands, something that you have created, something that no one else has created before you. And while, yes, we are going to provide you some foundational code. The foundational code we will provide you with is for a sim platform that we are building with open source technology called the Olympiad. But the way that we've designed this is that we provide you the foundation, and then you take that foundation to turn it into something of whatever you want it to be. And at that point, it's no longer what we've created it to be. At that point, it is quite literally your invention, your creation, your code. And so we are bringing you on a role-playing experience to go through what it's like to launch an entire cybersecurity program as if you were working in the office of the CISO, playing in the roles of 4 different positions, 4 different roles that are often found in the office of the CISO, where the skill sets are pivotal to a cybersecurity program. And by the end of this, you'll have a cybersecurity program ready to defend your own home, for that matter. And so you'll end up with, if you follow at least the casual experience, we have multiple difficulties. The casual difficulty is designed for those who are just here to enjoy their experience. Those who aren't trying to have necessarily a hardcore experience. You don't care about how long it takes you. You're just here to build a project. Maybe you do kind of want to build a little bit of home defense. Maybe you just want to learn how to build a network-wide ad blocker, and then also just want to know how engineering works and how cybersecurity as an industry works. Maybe that's all you came here for, is to become more aware and have more security awareness. But for those of you who are here for a challenge, we do have our standard challenge difficulties, and then we have a difficulty called Hope for the Hardcore mode. And for those who take on these challenges, then you yourself will invent something. You'll create something brand new that the world has never seen with your own hands. And that is the power of the Pied Hacker Experience, is that we're giving you the power of invention, and we are simply just handing you a springboard, and we're handing you the mic so that you can be the one to spit hot fire. So what, you might ask, does this Pied Hacker journey take you on, this Pied Hacker experience? Well, let me tell you exactly what sort of experience you will find when you take the Pied Hacker experience. See, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a quick line here and try to simplify this as much as possible. So this on the top of the line, this, let's just say that this is you on the surface. So if we say that everything above this line is the surface, above here we have you, and then we have technology. Generally all technology. And go figure, this is going to sound a little cliche, but the Pied Hacker experience, it teaches you what's beneath the surface. It teaches you what's hidden. And to get a little more specific about that, this includes things like your aptitudes and skills. So the Pied Hacker experience teaches you What are some of the aptitude, skills, and other things that you didn't even knew existed inside of you? You didn't even know that you could do certain things, or that you could invent a brand new technology or come up with something that no one's ever heard of, but you can. And more interestingly enough, even if you simply are just trying to look for a security awareness experience, all you want to know is you just want to know what cybersecurity is in the first place, this is the best way to find out what exactly lives in the cyber realm, what happens in the cyber realm. Really, it is I'm going to use this hidden thing because it's somewhat of a hidden realm in technology, really. Most people have no idea what's going on down here. And the Pied Hacker experience is going to walk you through using your own means and your own technology and everything that you have. It actually starts off not even having you use a Raspberry Pi. It has you leverage the technology around you, all of the technology everywhere around you in some lessons. We'll talk about that a little more, not quite so much about this, but teaches you all of these things that are beneath so that things aren't quite so confusing because there's something special that we care about. The thing is, when we provide something called context, and bear with me here, I don't want to oversimplify this. We bridge the surface with the hidden, anything that's hidden skills, things we didn't know, with context. And the Pied Hacker experience is designed to walk you through what it looks like actually building a cybersecurity program with the technology everywhere around you in your entire home. If you take the Pied Hacker seriously as an experience for your home, by the end of working through the Pied Hacker experience, you end up with home defense, a home cybersecurity program, so that you can defend your own home yourself with your own hands, self-defense for your home. But the thing is, you have to even know how to defend your home. You have to know these skills that you've never even heard of. They sound impossible. They sound much harder than they actually are, most likely to a lot of people. And those of you who've been studying for years, maybe been trying to get into cybersecurity for so long, and there's just this barrier you can't get past, this wall of context you don't have. This wall of context you don't have, and you can't bypass that wall. You cannot bypass that wall. The reason why I move context down is because context is the only way to walk through that wall so that you know, oh, this is how cybersecurity works. Oh, this is what it is. Oh, this is where these skills apply. Let me show you a better example. Because on the surface, we've seen fire hydrants. I've seen fire hydrants. I assume you've seen fire hydrants. Wonderful. When we see a fire hydrant, we don't really think about what's going on with the fire hydrant. We know that so it's used for fires. Fire trucks come and they attach their hoses and it allows water to come out of it. So it's a fire hydrant. And we just see it, it's red, don't park in front of it. That's generally, the context is you park in front of a fire hydrant, your car gets towed if you live in a lot of countries and regions, depending on where you are. So you might think to yourself, don't park in front of the fire hydrant. What we don't think about is what is actually beneath. Down here we have this guy clearly likes fire hydrants enough to want to pose with a fire hydrant. We might not know who this is, but fire hydrants are so well known that people even get excited to get photo ops with fire hydrants, as you can see clearly. But this individual right here probably isn't thinking about what is beneath that fire hydrant he's leaning on. Because, of course, the fire hydrant has to be attached to water lines and all that good stuff, but we never really see the rest of the picture until we've seen it at some point. And for those of you who've seen it, you're like, oh, I know where this is going. You've never really, oftentimes individuals have never seen what goes beneath the fire hydrant. And I even remember the first time I saw this, I was like, that makes sense. The fire hydrant would have a pipe that just keeps going down, and I guess the color really doesn't matter past the surface. It really doesn't matter. Well, cybersecurity works that way. Technology, we see all these things. We see Apple computers, we see Windows computers, we see Linux computers. We have all this stuff up here, right? Up here. And then everything beneath that
It's mystifying. Who knows what that is? The Pied Hacker experience, it gives you the context to how the very fabric of technology everywhere around us, when we're talking about networking and the internet, anything that's network accessible, what's down there? Can we access it? Can we interact with it? And if we take a look at a real life image of this digitized mapping of a fire hydrant, the real thing looks almost more alien than the 3D design. And that's a strange concept and a strange thing to think about. There's something unusual about this site for anyone who's never seen this before, and the piping of fire hydrants. And I mean, fire hydrants have to get installed and uninstalled and maintained and repaired somehow, and so if you've never seen this, that can be a rather strange experience to stumble upon some fire hydrants and see something that you've never really seen before. And this sort of experience where you see something and it's kind of silly and it's kind of strange, and if you try to take it out of context and you're like, oh, it is, when you think about it as a kind of alien, then that starts to derive a context that builds a peak experience around, oh, that's how that works. You'll never look at fire hydrants the same again. As a matter of fact, after watching this video, you're never going to look at fire hydrants the same ever again. And Pied Hacker Experience is a much more robust experience than what I've just provided you ever so briefly and ever so slightly. I'm going to teach you something that it took me over a decade to learn, and so here I am to show you what I know. And to give you an idea of how much work we've been putting into this experience, we've spent, maybe at least 3 years. I've spent at least 3 years building the Pied Hacker Experience. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work. And all things considered, with the sheer amount of work that it has been, we even make sure that we test everything that we do before we even start charging money for it and vetting things out. And the Pied Hacker Experience, it started off as a tournament. We've talked about the history of it in a separate video. You know, we've had many people come and test out the things that we've been working on, testing out our concepts, our theories, testing things out on the social media and all that good stuff. And finally, we have a product that our previous iterations of it have been tested, but now this is the first time that we're field testing. We're saying, you know, go start doing the Pied Hacker Experience for yourself. And we hired an intern just to make sure that the experience is what we hope it is, and also help us figure out how can we improve this experience, because this is a raw and a real experience where we get you the setup, we set you up for success, and then we leave you with these new skills. And let's see how the intern's doing with the launch that we kicked off for the beginning of the Pied Hacker Experience, just going through the prereqs. And these are the prereqs right here that you're seeing. So welcome to the prerequisites. Let's see how it's been going so far for our field tests.
I'm in my RV camping doing work. That's it.
There you go. She's a nomad, so she's literally working on the road. And it's I'm a person who works on the road too, so you can take Pied Hacker on the road with you.
I guess that's one of the benefits of cybersecurity, is that it can be a career that you take on the road with you.
The thing about the Pied Hacker Experience is it's designed for you to experience it your way. However, you want to experience the Pied Hacker Experience. Maybe you do want to hit the road while you're trying to take the Pied Hacker Experience and have an escape and just go on a traveling trip while taking the Pied Hacker Experience. That's what our intern Livia is doing for limited time. She's at least camping for a time with the prerequisites, and you could be doing the same sort of thing as well. And there's a number of prerequisites to go through, and so while you're here getting started with the Pied Hacker Experience, take your time. Take time to take it all in. Take time to think about what you want to make of it. How do you want to go about working through the Pied Hacker Experience? And you're not going to know the answers to all of that just yet, because you haven't gone through the first 3 weeks of training to get you situated and ready to go for the Pied Hacker Experience role plays, where you get to play as the professional building a cybersecurity program except you get to keep that cybersecurity program for yourself if that's what you'd like to do, or you can use it as a professional tool, or you can basically use this program to create a brand new technology. And quite frankly, we've built this program with something that's going to reveal what's underneath the surface for you. This is something that I was talking about earlier, and with Lavia here, working through the Pied Hacker experience, Lavia is going to discover what stats lie inside of her, what skills, what is she going to shine at, what is she the best at. I went through the Pied Hacker experience for myself after building it and making sure that things look good to me. For someone like me, I thought it was great. I really enjoy this sort of thing. I just love building things and inventing things. And what I did is I used what I created in my portfolio as an example. So everything that I hand to you is actually my portfolio as an example and a sample for how you can start. And you can use what I've put together as a quick start guide, or you can use it as a reference point to create your own thing your own way that does the same sort of thing. The main thing is you need to make sure that you accomplish the end requirements within the role plays. It doesn't quite matter how you accomplish those requirements. If you're more casual and you're not trying to have a more hardcore experience, we actually created an experience where for those who are just trying to learn, we have a casual experience. So just follow what I did. Follow the basics of what I did and the simple versions of what I did. Don't go into the extra complicated versions of anything, and just have a nice time. Build yourself a home DNS system, like server Pi-hole aggregator that turns into a network-wide ad blocker. And at the end of the day, worst case scenario, if you just went for the casual experience, you'll have a network-wide ad blocker, and you'll know basically how to fight ads, which is also oddly cybersecurity, learning how to be, like an offensive, get these ads off here. How did this ad get past my ad blocker? There's a way to actually block, fight back ads. Even beyond the default functionality of something like this tool called a Pi-hole. And then you can configure all kinds of things and just have like a little nice home security center with a VPN, some basic monitoring, all kinds of stuff, and just spend 2 months having a nice casual time. Or if you're hardcore, we have a more challenging set of challenges where you can iterate on what we've provided and invent something new, and that's what we call essentially hope for the hardcore mode. And for anyone who at least takes on the standard challenge and doesn't just come for the casual challenge, then you do get the stat sheet. So you do have to not come for the casual challenge to get the stat sheet. You have to take on the standard challenges, because this is how you can... The purpose of the stat sheet is really for people trying to build a career. That's the real purpose of it. If you're not trying to build a career and you're really just here to have a good time, if you want to take on the challenge later on after going through the casual experience, feel free to come talk to me and be like, can I take on the standard challenge? Absolutely. You do get 2 months. You get a 2-month time period. But even if you, as soon as you buy the Pied Hacker experience, you can just from that day forward, if within 2 months you complete everything, we'll send you a stat sheet if you did the standard challenges. But if you need to do that later, we'll have 2-month opportunities for people to go and try to see what their skill stats look like, but that does require you to take on the standard challenges. And you could just buy Pied Hacker and just start with casual and just take that on a few times, learn the Raspberry Pi, get used to it, feel the ropes, see if you even like it. Because what if you don't even like it? Then why take on the harder challenges if you're like, I don't really think this is my thing? And that's one of the purposes of the Pied Hacker experience. And so then if you do take on the standard challenge, then you can get this Foundational Security Architect certification. And the difference between this certification, I'm not trying to create another certification. That's not really my goal. I even debated just not having a certification in general, but there's a value in certifications. It just is like a crest that says I actually did something. And as much as I'm a person who's like, it's the education that matters, well, the certification still at least proves that you've done something. And what this certification proves is that beyond a doubt, in order to do the things that get us to be like, okay, yes, you passed the Pied Hacker experience, you have to get this certification, you have to not only complete the standard challenges for the Pied Hacker experience, You then have to build a portfolio, a professional portfolio. You can build a portfolio however you want. I'll give you an example of what my portfolio looks like. It could be just GitHub is a website that you can build with. Something called Docker Hub. There's LinkedIn, there's YouTube. You can mix it all together. You can build your own website. And I'll just show you my portfolio, which it's funny. Building the business was how I built my portfolio. I was like, I had this idea to build this big thing, and I was like, so really, my portfolio is all the things that I built to make this program possible, which basically is the Pied Hacker experience. So I'll show you my portfolio so that you can decide how you want to do it. Your portfolio doesn't have to be anything like mine. But anyways, complete in 2 months, make a portfolio, must have those things. And then you do have to send us a video tour of what you created. A video tour of everything you created for all your role plays, how you manage the role plays, and you have to submit all of the reports from all of the role plays, because the role plays have things that you need to submit. So you need to make sure you submit the final report. You need to do your video tour of everything that you used and built for the report, and just tour the whole thing that you did. And then as long as we get that tour, you did it in 2 months, and you have a portfolio, then you get this Foundational Security Architect certification, and that gives us everything we need to produce your stats for you. And then we go ahead and send you this Fundamental Security Architect player stats sheet. So once you've submitted all of these items, then you will get ranked. I will be able to take a look at the things that let me know, are you employable? So let's talk about what the stats actually mean. And then I'll talk about what the portfolio looks like, and what is all of this working toward? And why are you doing all of this, and what is it going to result in, and what's the point of doing the 2-month challenge, and how's that going to translate into any benefits for you? How is this going to benefit anyone? The problem with getting hired at a job right now is that a lot of times companies aren't really sure what are the things that, like, if they hire you, are you going to be able to do the work? And so they have all these things like, oh, you need 5 years experience, oh, you need all this thing, you need 10 years experience, you need all these crazy certifications. What this does is it bypasses all of the anxiety that employers have in hiring, which is, oh my goodness, I have no idea how to tell if this person knows how to do the job. The only way that people generally know how to tell is, do you have 5 years experience? But then the people who have the experience are in so high demand, good luck getting them anyways. So really, then you're stuck with the ocean of risky hires. Well, simply have something that shows that you can do the work, and this is something where I am working with employers at this time to also educate on how do you hire people, how do you identify people, and this is a litmus test also for employers to tell, oh look, you can do the work in these areas. So I'll put it this way, for the most part in these categories, where it says overall, if you get at least a 3 out of 5 in a category, like in the overall category ranking, we have architect, that's one role play. Malware analyst is a role play, penetration tester is a role play, and SOC analyst / data scientist is a role play as well. So apparently I can be a malware analyst and I can do the job just fine. I probably get a mid-level job. Probably, if you have 3 or higher, you can probably get jobs that are a little more senior. Because of some of my other skills, it's easier for me to get a little more senior work. But if you have at least a 3 out of 5, you can get at least standard level work. You don't necessarily need to be a junior, but you can most certainly do entry level work if you have a 3 out of 5. Most certainly do entry level work. If you have a 4 out of 5, you can probably do senior level work just fine, if I'm honest. And if you have a category that you get a 5 out of 5 on, you can most certainly do principal level work, senior level work. Now you might need to go get some more experience for the sake of learning more social engineering, but let me tell you what, in cybersecurity, getting the technical skills you need is a lot more systematic and straightforward than getting the social skills that you need. So if you already are a 5 out of 5, you actually get diminishing returns in your skill set really past 4 out of 5. Anything that you get 4 out of 5, if you're trying to build a career, working to be just higher rank than a 4 out of 5, at that point start learning social engineering more. focus on the social engineering, and then that's the part that will get you the job. And surprisingly enough, the job hunt process will teach you the social engineering. So if you treat the job hunt as a way to learn the social engineering, that's a really genuinely easy way to learn the social engineering. Social media, you see how people operate, you have to track your numbers, you have to do analysis and all that good stuff. And so if you have a 4 out of 5 on the technical scale, just start applying to jobs if a job is what you want. If you're just trying to see what your stats are and you just want to know what you're good at, great. And this is also a great way to specialize. Honestly, this is one of the fastest ways to specialize in the market, because if you see what you're the best at, don't waste your time on the thing that you didn't enjoy doing. If you didn't enjoy doing it, don't go in that direction. So with the first thing that you want to figure out is do you even like doing the work? Do you like the work? And the next one being, is that something that you are naturally good at already? If you both like something and you're good at it already, which for me, the biggest one for me is I love data science more than anything. It's fun to me, and I have a natural affinity and aptitude toward it. So for me, I'm like, okay, 100% career-wise, I'm like, bam, that's the place for me to specialize. I specialized in it hard. I've made new technologies, traveled the world learning this stuff. I love it. I'm into it. Alternatively, the other thing is I spent a lot of years just pen testing on the side for hobby, and I think at the end of the day, for me, it's always been too much of a hobby thing for me to like to do it for work. And that includes things like bug bounties, which I guess I made money doing it, things like that, depending on what I was doing. And I did it professionally too, but that's just something that I just always do. I guess I don't really think of it as a job. So I'm just good at it, probably just from doing it a lot. And then architect, I like building things and tinkering, but usually my building things and tinkering is so that I can get to the data science and the analysis and all that good stuff and start doing like pen testing and things, but I still love the data science more. So taking the Pied Hacker experience gives you self-awareness around like, what do you like? What are you good at and like? And then if you find that you're good at it but you hate doing it, I still would say just don't do the work. You might be a 5 out of 5 and you're like, I really despise doing that work. Don't go get that job. You'll hate the job just as much as you hated those exercises. So that is the purpose of all of this. Going back to how you get that, you just need to make sure that you complete the Pied Hacker experience within 2 months. You need to build a portfolio. You need to build a video tour. You need to do all those things, all the things that I had mentioned. And you can get a stat sheet, and you need to do the standard challenges, or harder, standard or harder. So, and you know, if you do any of the hope for the hardcore challenges, you actually can do casual for everything else. I'll say it that way, because if you do one really hardcore job role play, and you're just like, yeah, I like this, and I really don't care about the rest, that works too. Because if you do a hope for the hardcore challenge, that's so hardcore, I guarantee you can do the job. And so really, you're finding out like what your skills are underneath, and then the other part that goes with that is you can start to build a portfolio. And just like the fire hydrant, by the time you're here and you're building a portfolio, you'll know what all of the things are. And right here I'm showing you a portfolio item. There's a site called Docker Hub, and I went ahead and in the Pied Hacker experience, you'll get to take a look at my portfolio items and my tools that I built for myself and how I work with them. And then my tools over here, we have GitHub. So this right here, the fact that I can show you this, the fact that I can show you our squad projects and all that good stuff in this GitHub, and we have all the code in here. I've got some contributors, some of the original Pied Hackers who helped build this. So that shows in my portfolio here that I'm not the only one who worked on this, and honestly, this was a lot more of their work here. So they pretty much built a lot of the GitHub code here on the team that I organized that on for that part of my portfolio. And then on this part of my portfolio, I built a container as a pen testing tool. It's like my containerized version of Kali that I built myself. It's like my own version of Kali in a container. with the tools that I hack with, the ones that I use, my favorite hacking tools. And down here it has this guide and that you can then use to build all the tools that I built. Built my own guide for the Olympiad white paper in here. And this is just in Google Docs, so I'm using Docker Hub, GitHub, Google Docs, and built this quick start guide, which you get to use to the casual mode, just build what I built. Just follow my guide. Yeah, if you're having issues, message me in the Discord, because that is why we have the Discord. This is the stuff that shows employers beyond a doubt. And the thing is, if you have this, then it means beyond a doubt you have this, which means beyond a doubt I guarantee that you know what's under the surface of technology, what's under the surface of that cell phone, what's under the surface of that computer, or even this microphone right here. This microphone can actually be hacked. It has inputs and outputs on it. There are things that you can do to this device as well, and you will know what's under the surface of this mic, what's under the surface of the computer that I'm recording on, the system that I'm running on. And when we talk about what's under the surface of technology, under the surface of Mac, under the surface of Windows, under the surface of Linux, at the end of the day, you'd be shocked at how everything is not as different as you might think. And the world might not be what you might think it might be. Now, I have a YouTube channel. If you like to make things on YouTube or videos and content, that's another way to build and grow a portfolio. I've done things from the beginning of my business all the way up to now having a series, to doing ran a radio station on the YouTube channel for a while, Cybersecurity Research Radio. I did a bunch of interviews, doing a new series right now. It's part of my portfolio. And if I go over to my LinkedIn, LinkedIn's great for building a portfolio, because LinkedIn, you can feature your top portfolio items. You can come over here and go to LinkedIn, and you can say, make a nice banner for people to come to, have a nice profile picture that you like, one that you like to represent with. Use some good catchy phrases to make sure that your portfolio looks nice. And you can make posts in LinkedIn and feature your top items. So if you wanted to come in here and then add more posts to your posts, you can come in here and just add all this stuff. So you can see right here I have my Docker Hub link, and I have a demo for it. A demo for when I was building the Olympiad. And you can even make video demos. Okay, so I've been building this architecture for a while. It's called the Inner Athena architecture. So let's take a look here. If we take a look at what I have so far, you can have on one Raspberry Pi 1, I don't need to show you this whole video, but just an example of something I was showing here. This is the Olympiad. Actually, this is kind of interesting. So if I mute this real quick and commentary over it, this video shows a demo of my code when I was working on it, showing that from one Raspberry Pi you can build a bare metal Pi with the Olympiad code that I've given you. The Olympiad code lets you build this right here that you're looking at. This is 4 different containers that you can SSH into, and if you haven't taken PyHacker yet, you probably don't know what a container is, and you probably don't know what SSH is. But think about it this way. You can make one Raspberry Pi connect to 4 different monitors, and those monitors all act as if those Raspberry Pis were separate computers. That's hacking a system and making basically making one Raspberry Pi, like you could make one Raspberry Pi basically like having 6 computers. And you can build a portfolio of these things and show off your code, show off what you've built. But that's the whole point, is you want to build a portfolio, and that was a light tour, me giving you an example of a light tour of something that I invented, but I want you to give me tours of what you invent in the way that you want to. It could be recorded in screen recordings, it could be recorded that way, but in the week 3 module, let's take a look at the PyHacker experience now. Let's just take a look at it. let's go ahead and talk about the prerequisites. For the prerequisites, you want to have at least a 4 gigabyte Raspberry Pi 4. I strongly recommend that. And you can find them on Amazon, or you can pick one up from us if you haven't already ordered a Raspberry Pi 4, or if you don't already have one. But if you want to do, like if you're a little more skilled and you already know some technical things and you know how to use virtual machines, you can take on higher difficulty challenges and you can just straight up use a virtual machine. So if you have the technical chops already and you know you have technical chops and you just want to, let's say you're a network admin and you just want to shift over to cybersecurity and you want to know, like, what's all the context I'm missing to just know cybersecurity? How can I just know this? I'll tell you how you can just know this. You can just know all of these things by taking the Pied Hacker experience. It will tell you all the context that you need, and you don't have to get a Raspberry Pi 4 if you want to use a virtual machine or something like that, and you already have those skills. So you'll need to have an SD card if you're using a Raspberry Pi, SD card reader, all those things, and it's recommended to have a journal or notepad to help you through the experience. Strongly recommended. So we talk about who's this for. If you're watching this video, you already have access to this. But for concepts, just go and Google all of these terms for the ones you don't know. And you can even type cybersecurity and then these terms if you want. Because that's something that's highly Googleable and this is already an ocean of information, I'm going to let you guys research quite a bit on your own. Because at the end of the day, this is an R&D, research and development based experience where you are going to be doing your own research and development. So in terms of the prerequisites, if you are completely new to the industry and you are trying to get a career, go take the entire Where to Begin series. If you have not, I strongly recommend it. It will make the Pied Hacker much, much, much more worth your time. It is a lot of information, like a lot of information, but it's worth it. And then I would strongly recommend watching the video on interviews, and also watch this video where I show how to build the world's most dangerous cybersecurity attack, basically the most common cybersecurity attack by far, and why. And then these videos in general. If you haven't seen any of these videos, it'll make a world of a difference, and then you definitely will want to know what the OSI model is before taking the Pied Hacker experience. We talk about that sort of thing quite a bit, and if you don't know what the OSI model is, watch these videos. And then if you want to know more about things like Python, then you can talk to the experts or check out their YouTube channels. We have different people, Christy Vlad, Hackersploit, some very good, talented cybersecurity professionals. You can hear what they have to say about things. Other resources that I'm providing here, all prerequisites, are the 10 Laws of Online Personal Security ebook. I also strongly recommend reading that if you haven't read it yet. And then we have an interview preparation checklist for those trying to get jobs, the ultimate cybersecurity jobs qualification guide. This actually lets you chart out and map out your career. So if you just read the instructions, it walks you through a 5-year strategy for figuring out how to build a cybersecurity career. Even gives you samples of, like, what are the kinds of roles here, what are the kinds of roles there. I'll let you scroll through all that. And then we also have our Cybersecurity Essentials course. You don't actually need to sign up for the email course. It's living here in the prerequisites. Our super long 7-day email course is here. It, once again, is a lot of information, but it's most certainly very, 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 very well worth reading to build that juicy context so that by the time you get through the Pied Hacker experience, you actually know what cybersecurity is, and you can actually just go get a job. You can just go do it. Another thing I'll say is feel free to spend at least a good week on the prerequisites, and then do most certainly expect to spend a good week on the week 1 items of the Pied Hacker experience. As you can see in the agenda, we talk about mindset, welcome to the office of the CISO, so that you can see what it's like in the office of the CISO, and then thinking like a hacker. That's very important. A lot of social engineering here. The criminal mindset, and from here on out, you can stop thinking of yourself as common, because this is going to teach you how to see things that you've never really seen in different ways, different perspectives, different ways to look at technology, different ways to think about technology. You're going to stretch your imagination and stretch the way that you think, because we are going to learn about things like first principles, and you're going to learn about things like code theory. See, first principles right here. And you're going to have to learn about methodology, very specifically the scientific method and strategies around leveraging and deploying the scientific method to create anything using first principles. And then we'll be teaching you code theory as well, and social changes. What's going to happen to your social life as you work through this? If you decide to grow through this program and take on the full peak experience, you really have to submit yourself to the experience to get the most out of it. And for week 2, I'm not going to go into week 3 just yet. We'll let you discover week 3 when you get there. But for week 2, that's where we're going to, go from electrical engineering to psychological-based social engineering. This is where we get into the stuff that's really obscure and really hard and on the surface sounds silly and simple. This is the hard stuff. The technical stuff is, in my opinion, much easier than this, because technology is mathematical in nature. It's very black and white, and it's much more predictable as a result. Social engineering, the science behind that. That's why we're going to talk about the hacker's OSI model, which is different from the OSI model, because we talk about the OSI model in the first week. But we're going to talk about the hacker's OSI model. How does a hacker approach the concepts found in the OSI model? You're going to learn about what the human bell curve is. How does that work? And you're going to learn about psychologically based social engineering, the 6 principles of persuasion, how to leverage control over your enemies, and key concepts like system architecture, high-end advanced system architecture, the key concepts of operating systems, the future of data. This is crazy. Honestly, if I'm honest, I don't know. This is crazy. And so containers in action, you can see what it all looks like. Intro to the week 2 project, so you can learn. And those are just the warm-ups to get you ready for week 3, which is when you will begin the role plays. You'll begin our role-playing game, where you're going to play through 4 different roles in the office of the CISO. It's going to be a raw experience. You will have your technology, and in this case, I use Raspberry Pis, and we recommend using a Raspberry Pi for this program. However, for those of you who are hardcore, as I said, you can use whatever technology you can find and leverage, but that's only for the hardcore. If you're not the hardcore, if you're looking for a casual experience, get a Raspberry Pi with 4 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. If you are looking for the standard experience, I still recommend getting a Raspberry Pi with at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. But if you're going for the standard experience, I would actually recommend getting a Raspberry Pi with at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. And you'll actually get more out of the experience overall because of the capability that you'll have at your disposal and the extra flexibility that you get from the slightly extra amounts of power. For different types of industries, 8 gigabytes of RAM is a lot, but for what I'm teaching you, there's a lot you can do with all of that RAM. And you're going to learn how to manipulate and leverage and play with things. But the catch about the Pied Hacker experience is it's different from other experiences. It's uncomfortable because when you get to those role plays, do expect this. Expect that you'll get the quick start guide. You'll get the general direction on where everything needs to go. But if you were at a company, they would say your manager would probably have no idea what a technology is or how the technology works. Your manager would just know that you need to make this thing work, whatever it is. They don't know how. They can't help you. And so I can't help you. I can't help you through the role plays. I'm your manager. In this case, I will be the CISO. And as the CISO, there will be too many things for me to be able to walk you through all this stuff, and you are going through this experience not as the person who's at the bottom or the intern. You're the rock star. You're the one who's running the show. You're building the entire cybersecurity program. You're the senior. You're the practitioner. You're the one who's running the show. And so it's up to you to run the show. Build a cybersecurity program. Make it something powerful. Become someone powerful and do something powerful with it. Protect your home. Maybe that's all you end up doing with it. Maybe you just protect your home. That's amazing. Or build a career. Go do something incredible with it. And I know that at the end of the day, no matter what you do with your Pied Hacker experience, you are going to do something incredible. So, good luck. Enjoy the prerequisites. And get ready to gear up next week to begin week 1 so that we can reprogram your mind to give you the mind hack that is the Pied Hacker experience.